Thank you for coming. My name is Raleigh McClellan. I'm the chairman of the Mercyhealth Corporation Legal Board of Directors. It's my pleasure today to announce the Mercyhealth Corporation Board of Directors' decision to recognize the almost unprecedented growth and success of over 30 years of Javon Bay's service to Mercy and Mercyhealth. With the unanimous board resolution to name Mercyhealth Hospital in Rockford Javon Bay Hospital. We're hoping that cuts short some of his talks. We have one hospital license in the city of Rockford, 2 locations. We have Rockton Avenue, and of course this little place right here. Let me give you a brief history of why we decided to do this, to recognize his almost unbelievable accomplishments. Javon was born and raised on the far west side of Rockford. He's the youngest of 12 kids. His life was not an easy one. He wasn't oppressed or anything like that, but there wasn't a lot of extra money around. At a very early age, why he understood that if he was going to have anything other than the basics, why he was going to have to go out and earn it. And that he did. This motivated him. He became a young entrepreneur. He had a newspaper route at the age of 8. By the age of 12, he had 3 paper routes, and he had 2 kids working for him to deliver the papers. That's almost unprecedented. He had a lawn mowing and a snow shoveling business, and he worked at various other jobs in junior high school. But he never let obstacles stand in the way. Rather, he worked hard to innovate and persevere despite any obstacles that might come his way. At 16, Javon began mopping floors at Rockton Avenue in the radiology and emergency departments. He became in the Boy Scout Medical Explorer organization. And as you might guess, by this time, he was working as a physical therapy technician in that department. He ended up receiving a scholarship from the Rockford Memorial Auxiliary, which enabled him to go to college. And as you might guess, he pursued a degree in physical therapy. Given all this, when the opportunity to partner with Rockford Health System became available, his passion to make this happen was evident. After all, an opportunity to come home. These stories are very important because they provide a little insight into Javon's strong work ethic. He worked very hard his entire life to get to his position today. It's this commitment and drive to do the next right thing that we are so thankful for at Mercyhealth. Because his drive, his passion, his vision to bring the very best health care close to home by creating a vertically integrated health system that employs the best physicians and specialists and offers Mercyhealth patients outstanding coordinated care that has changed the face of health care in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Give you just a little history of how everything began with Javon and Mercyhealth. Javon was hired in 1989 to turn Mercy Hospital around. That's Mercy Hospital in Janesville. Mercy was a single standalone community hospital, had more square footage than we had patients. It was struggling to meet payroll. Think about that. Yet Javon had a vision, and he saw only opportunity in this merger. He wanted to elevate the entire organization, bring health care close to home throughout the region through the creation of a vertically integrated health system. In this case, that means offering patients access to a comprehensive network of physicians and services, all within one coordinated system involving patients with one medical record, one simplified bill, and one network of care. Everything a patient might need from birth to end of life. He borrowed $9 million through a non-rated bond issue to start the revitalization of Mercy Hospital. What he really did that, in my mind as I look back, one of the single most things he did, he created a physician partnership model that it's copied by other hospitals, other healthcare organizations around. And this employs the best primary and specialty care physicians available. To make outstanding coordinated care a reality for our patients in a way that was fiscally sound and stable in the long run. And this is what positioned us so well when the Affordable Care Act came into being, because everything the Affordable Care Act was encouraging healthcare organizations to do, we were already doing. He made sweeping changes to turn Mercy Hospital around, and it grew tremendously. A small community hospital in Janesville to a regional health system with 4 core services: hospitals, multi-specialty clinics, hospice and home health services, and a wholly owned insurance company. He expanded to serve all of Rock and Walworth counties in Wisconsin and McHenry County in Illinois. By 2015, before the merger with Rockford Health System, we had 3 hospitals, 75 multi-specialty clinics and specialty centers in 50+ communities, 8 home health locations, and the Mercy Care Insurance Company, and over 400 employed physicians and specialists, from none in 1989. Gross revenues had grown from $33 million to over $2 billion, and employee partners had grown from 450 to over 4,000. In 2015, when Javon brought this plan to merge with Rockford Memorial, he talked about the partnerships as the next right thing to do. As Rockford Health System was struggling financially, Rockford Health System had lost over $48 million over its last 5 years. With Javon's history, 30-year history of creating, growing, and developing the successful Mercy Health System, we knew right away that Javon had what it takes to turn Rockford Health System around and improve health care for the greater Rockford region. And it's amazing what has been accomplished since 2015. Now I'm going to let Tom Budd, a native of Rockford, he is treasurer of Mercyhealth Corporation and CEO of Rockford Bank and Trust Company, and I'm going to ask him to give you a little insight as to some of the good things that have happened to Rockford Health in the interim.
Thank you, Raleigh, and good afternoon. I have a little bit of a unique perspective as being a native of Rockford and a local banker. And the one thing I've learned through my time on healthcare boards is that if you think banking's tough, healthcare is a lot more difficult. One of the things that Javon said to me early on when I met him is he said, you know, Tom, healthcare is moving at such a fast pace, I have to plan and execute at the same time. And I've watched him do that for the last 3 years, and it's been amazing to watch what he's accomplished, his drive, his entrepreneurial spirit, his commitment to Rockford. As a board member, I look at 4 or 5 things that he's really accomplished. One is obvious, is the capital commitment. You can see the capital here. There's been several other new clinics built, but that's not enough. You can spend money on brick and mortar. It's what you do there that matters. And so from a programming standpoint, he has brought services and capabilities to Rockford that before now did not exist. For instance, the small baby unit. Small baby is a baby that's even smaller than one that would be served by the NICU. Requires unique treatment. And there are very few of those in the country, much less Northern Illinois. His commitment to the neonatal intensive care service prompted him to partner with Crusader Clinic. Many of Crusader Clinic's babies are NICU babies, and they need special care. That's been a great relationship to date. We've delivered over 1,100 babies from Crusader mothers last year. And then it's the partnerships. Partnership with Lurie's Children's Hospital. Many partnerships of this type are kind of a name only, where you just get to bring your patients to their facility. This is different. Lurie brings their physicians to Rockford to treat Rockford's patients. And that was important for Javon because what he's really concerned about is when you have a sick baby, the burden is even greater when you have to pack up your kids and go to Chicago, have hotel rooms and such. So again, that's a partnership that had not existed previously and is unique in this market. And then finally, is financial performance. You can't further the mission if you're not successful financially. And Javon and his team have put up very impressive financial performance that is tops in the industry. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for Javon. His commitment to Rockford has been, he's done everything he said he would do when we started this, and much more. And I think, knowing Javon as I do, I think he's just getting started, to be honest. So we are very fortunate to have Javon and Mercyhealth here in Rockford, and I congratulate you, Javon. Back to Raleigh.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Now I'd like to invite Mercyhealth board member and Illinois State Senator David Severson to the podium to share with you a few words.
Thank you very much. And Raleigh, thank you for all your years of service. 47 years on the board, and was the one who helped make that decision to bring Javon here in the first place. So thank you for that. I've had the honor to serve on the Mercy board for a little over 15 years and have known Javon a little bit longer than that. And when we first met, one thing that really I noticed about Javon was how singly laser focused he could be when he was pursuing a goal. And any of you that have received calls at 11 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning like I have, you know how he's singularly focused on Mercy. But just as important was his ability to share with not just the board, but with Mercy employee partners the why for those goals. And he helped build consensus and help build teamwork, which is really unique, something in my years in business and politics we don't always see. But one thing that really impressed me about Javon was how he utilizes his gifts and how he inspires and helps others, especially young people. And many of you don't know all the things he does to help people, because that's not why he does it, and that's not why his faith teaches him to do that. But he does make a difference. A few years ago, he spoke at the Auburn High School graduation, and I had a chance to listen to that speech. Now, when most of us go and speak, we usually talk about what we're doing or what we've accomplished or what we want to accomplish. Javon was a little bit different. Javon, knowing the audience he was speaking to, that these were students that were struggling just like he struggled when he was a student at Auburn, decided instead to open up and talk plainly and honestly about his difficult upbringings. He talked about the tough times he had growing up in a troubled home in a rough part of town, talked about the mistakes that he made growing up as well. So here you have a CEO coming to speak to a group of high school students, which normally, at least when I was in high school, when a speaker would come, you would just kind of tune them off as not being relevant. But in Javon's case, he had their attention because he was one of them. He was relating to them. That gave him credibility in his message. He also talked in his speech about the pain of losing a daughter. And for a lot of those students that lost loved ones as well, it gave them a chance to help relate. So tough stuff for Javon, but he knew he had to relate to those students if he was going to have the credibility to share that message of hope with those students. Javon's life has been an example of what can happen when you're dealt a bad hand and you do the next right thing and you don't let circumstances define you. You know, we talked to the students about the need to not let challenges get in the way. He talked about using bad experiences as a learning tool to grow from that. He also got tough with the students and said, you know what, it's important for you to suit up and show up and do the next right thing. He talked about the need to go to college and learn a skill. He related to them. He let them know in no uncertain terms that you don't need to stay in the situation that you were raised in, that you could do more. Now, it's interesting, Javon also talked about his special mentor that he had that inspired him, Father Daniel. And I believe he probably talked a little bit about that in his comments. But what a wonderful example of what it means to pay it forward. One person inspiring another, and they go on to do the same. Today, we have millions of patients that have come through Mercy. We have thousands of people who are working here, all benefiting from that chain of inspiration. People in our community can now get care here where before they've had to travel for hours. A few weeks ago, maybe now I guess it's been a couple months ago, talking to a family whose daughter was in the NICU unit with some pretty major anomalies. And the mother said, my husband has to work. And if it wasn't for the care we could get here at Mercy, he could not, after work every night, come and spend that time with his daughter and with me. We would have had to go to Chicago, our family would have been split, and he would not be able to do that. So because of what Mercy is doing, that family could stay together. Javon, that story, and so many others like it, is the ripple effect of the life that you have lived and the path that you chose to take. And we're grateful for that. Let me just wrap it up, and why I tell those stories about Javon. I see the naming of the hospital for Javon two benefits. One, certainly it's a small way to say thank you to Javon for all he has done to change healthcare in our community. But more importantly, we believe that when young people see the name and they hear the story about Javon Bay, that it will motivate them to live beyond their circumstances, that they could live lives and pay it forward just like he did. A story that we believe will really resonate with with young people. So Javon, today we celebrate your leadership in bringing this world-class health system to Rockford, but we also celebrate the fact that you're a hometown boy that came home as a living example of how to overcome circumstances and how to pay it forward. I've been honored to serve with you on the board for 15 years, and more than that, I've been honored to call you my friend. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to invite Javon, if he'd come up to the podium for the unveiling and to accept this recognition.
All right.
Javon, thanks for all you've done. This recognition is more than well deserved, and keep on doing those good things.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming today, and I want to thank Raleigh, Dave, and Tom, and the entire Mercyhealth board that's present here for this unbelievable honor. I mean, it's really hard to know how to respond to all that's been stated. Obviously, this is a very special moment for me in many respects. When the board informed me that they had unanimously approved a resolution to name our hospital here in Rockford after me, my mind started twirling with a number of thoughts, and I guess I'd like to share some of those thoughts that I had. First of all, I was more than shocked, and I actually had to pinch myself more than a few times to make sure that, you know, I wasn't dead, as I really appreciate that they didn't make me die first to be able to share in this humbling experience. You know, it's a lot better to be standing here alive and well than 6 feet under, as you know, when something like this would occur. And second, I was very humbled that the board chose to recognize the leadership that I've tried to give over the last 30 years with the naming here in Rockford. And obviously, when something like this occurs, it causes you to reflect over your life and your career. And in that reflection, it was hard for me to know where to begin. And frankly, Rockford has such an impact on me, and I started thinking back right away to living, and it just seemed like yesterday how fast life goes. And just seemed like yesterday I was living on Merriam Avenue and on the west side, and you know, I was delivering papers and really shoveling snow and cutting grass and doing everything I could to try to buy some, extra clothes and things and really provide, my dad raised 12 children. He was a printer at the Rockford papers, never made over $12,000 a year, and helped pay our tuition to Catholic school, St. Patrick's. But, we had a bed to sleep in and some basic food and clothes. But and I think it was a great lesson for me. Basically, if you want anything that you want, he tried to provide what we needed. But if you wanted something, you needed to go out and earn it. And I think that's, I'm always thankful when I look back for that lesson. So, as Dave alluded to, I really do hope that, and I had such a wonderful experience in my commencement address at Auburn High School, that a lot of the kids in Rockford and the surrounding area who are born into humble means, I hope that this will be an inspiration to them, that through hard work and trying to do the right thing every day, that over the long haul, it'll pay off, and you can have a very rewarding life. And then I reflected back how fast the last 30 years have gone. 1989, I won't go into all the details, but I had been contacted. I actually was targeted to go to the West Coast. I'd been offered a CEO job to run 13 hospitals on the West Coast. And I got a call for this little hospital up in Janesville. And I actually had said no to the recruiter. And then I was back visiting my mother, who was still alive then. She was just coming down with cancer. And get a break, I thought, oh, I'll just get in the car and buzz up to Janesville. And I looked at the facility and I thought, this is really a nice facility. It's kind of bare. There's nobody in it, hardly patients. And then I went back. I was with the Daughters of Charity at that time. I had left Mayo, and I went back and I started to study the area and how healthcare was organized. And I realized it wasn't organized in southern Wisconsin. It was very fragmented. And I thought, there'd be a real opportunity there to kind of bring all this together and organize it into an integrated system. And then also Vita and I, my wife, would be close to Rockford where we grew up, and we have many relatives. So I decided to pass on the West Coast job and take the job at what was then Mercy Hospital in Janesville, believing that we could really grow the organization. And then I've thought about all the activities that's occurred. I mean, I was reflecting back on opening the first clinic in Orfordville, Wisconsin, hiring the first specialist that Mercy had, and then the whirlwind of the next 30 years of unbelievable growth, and building a wonderful team, a wonderful organization, so many different markets and service areas. So it's been a real wonderful trip, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I thought back to our merger with Rockford Health System a few years ago, and it was a high-risk venture. I think many of you that know the history know that several other systems had looked at partnering with Rockford Memorial, and had decided against it because there were a number of challenges. I mean, obviously, Rockford Memorial, the Rockton Avenue campus, exists on the west side of Rockford, and some of you may not know this, but we have Rockford Health System. We have, and now Mercyhealth, we have 3 times the amount of charity care and Medicaid as opposed to, let's say, a hospital on the east side. And so, in fact, we provide the highest level of charity care and Medicaid of any hospital outside of Cook County. And so, with that tremendous challenge and the condition of a 65-year-old facility and having lost a multi-year history of losing money, many health systems looked at the hospital and walked away from it, turned it down. But clearly what drove me, and it was, I told the board, and I think they had to have a lot of trust in me. I said, I can do it. I can turn that around. But what was really driving me was I felt I owed something to Rockford Memorial. I felt I owed something to Rockford because I had a job there all throughout my last years of high school, throughout college. I got a scholarship to go to college, and there was something in me that drove me that I just didn't want to see that organization disappear. So we got together and we merged, and as Mr. Tom Budd alluded to, it's been a tremendous experience. We're investing close to $1 billion in the Rockford area, improving access to primary and specialty services. Many services who haven't been represented in Rockford. We're building new clinics, expanding facilities, bringing in the latest technology. Many you may not realize we've hired over 250 new specialty physicians. We're investing tens of millions of dollars in renovating and improving the Rockton Avenue campus. And of course, this $505 million state-of-the-art campus behind me. And as I reflect on all this growth, I can just tell you it's been extremely rewarding to me personally to be able to give back this much to my hometown. When the board deliberated, and as Raleigh said, we've got 80-some organizations, or 80-some facilities, and they chose to name the Rockford Hospital in my honor, I was really moved that they had equated the special meaning it would have for me, since Rockford is my hometown. And lastly, and most important, what I reflected on after they told me about this decision was reflecting on our outstanding team, our outstanding board members, our physicians, our leadership team, the 8,000 plus employee partners who really commit their lives every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to deliver the quality of care that we deliver. Tom Budd, when he met with the vice presidents prior to this event, he said, wherever I go in Rockford, I get patients who talk to me about the fact that the people at Mercy just are on fire. They love working with Mercy, and that shows then, right? So I've always believed that if I really put into my people and my team, they're going to put out to the patients. You know, it's kind of like, and so I really believe strongly in having a family, having a Mercyhealth family, so they'll take care of other families that come to us. And I think as a result, our partners do deliver high quality, compassionate health care. And we deliver it to 15 counties throughout northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. But just, and where I really started to kind of tear up was what a remarkable journey it has been, working with so many remarkable people. Just the high qualityness of the people, the quality of the people that we work with is tremendous. And I think they would share with me, all of the Mercyhealth partners watching today, is that it's very intrinsically satisfying to be part of Mercyhealth, because the span and the breadth of the services that we offer, the serious health care, we just are having tremendous positive impact on hundreds of thousands of lives. And you know, how does that not be intrinsically satisfying? So it's really been a tremendous experience, and I've loved being back home in Rockford. You know, my mentor, as Dave said, was Father Daniel Lenahan. Father Daniel was a Trappist monk. I met him when I was only 10 years old, and I look back, and there's just no question I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for Father Daniel. We stayed close friends throughout our entire lives. He functioned really as a second father for me. He was a very remarkable man, and he taught me so much about the importance in life. One thing he was absolutely right about, he would say, and he said it to me when I was a little kid, he goes, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have enough control over yourself to each day, everything, every moment, try to do what's right, do the next right thing, you're going to have a very meaningful and successful life. And he actually guaranteed me, I think I was about 13 or 14, he said, your life is going to be as successful, it's going to be directly proportional, your success will be directly proportional to the degree that you do the right thing, the next right thing. And he lived to be 105 years old. And a few years before Father Daniel passed away, he said something to me that meant a great deal, because we had communicated at least once per week for over 50 years. He said, you know, Javon, you're the only person I know who from a very young age has always tried to do the next right thing. Your adage was always to basically get up, be where you were supposed to, what Dave said, what I told the Auburn students was to suit up, show up, and do the next right thing. And basically, what he said to me was, you know, it wasn't my advice, it was a challenge I put out to you. And I want to tell you, you got to remember that the guy was probably about 102 then. He said, I want to tell you that you have, you've met that challenge, and it's been the determination and the culmination of all your hard work and the little steps over the long haul that's made you who you are. And so, and Father Daniel said, for that, I'm very proud of you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm far from perfect, but I do try to make that the standard of my life and all the choices that we have. And I think it's everyone can do that. I think we live life one moment at a time, and at every moment in time, we're all constantly given choices, and you either choose to do the right thing or you don't. But it's remarkable looking back, too, how people pull together and work together when you're trying to do the next right thing. We've had a lot of major challenges in the last 30 years. You don't have the kind of growth Mercy has without being challenged by many outside forces. And I think the Mercy team, and I'm talking about all 8,000 of them, they've all been there and they've been ready to go for it and dig in and meet the challenge and the goal, because they know we're trying to do the right thing. So people work together and they really pull together when they know you're trying to do what's right. I mean, life's going to throw you curveballs, and you're going to, things aren't going to always turn out the way you want or the way you have it planned. But as Dave mentioned, as I told the kids in my Auburn commencement speech a few years ago, you know, it's not any one exam, any one grade, it's not any one outcome of a game or a race, it's not even any one job. It's the long haul in life that counts. Trying to do the next right thing every moment, each day, that adds up to success. Our first child, Sarah, was born severely multiply handicapped, and Sarah needed help walking, feeding, dressing, and she needed help with all activities of daily living. Sarah understood a lot, but she didn't speak words. And I think Vita and I were only about 22 and 23 years old. So think about being newly married and having your first child born severely and multiply handicapped. That could be pretty devastating. And you could feel sorry for yourselves and kind of give up in life. But my wife and I, we looked at this and we said, you know, we just have to trust in the grace of God that each day He'll give us the grace to meet the challenge. And we just kept putting one foot in front of another, taking it one day at a time, and kept trying to do the next right thing. Sarah went everywhere with us, and her 5 siblings had to help with Sarah in every way, and she was a total part of our family. Sarah passed away in her sleep at age 27. You know, it's a thing that you cannot see coming in life, and when life knocks you to the ground. But these are the times when you draw strength from inside yourself. You have to, and force yourself to get back up. And if you have a faith, trust in the grace of God will be sufficient. Keep putting one foot in front of another, one day at a time, and keep doing the next right thing. And Sarah ended up having a very happy life. Without my wife and I realizing it, Sarah turned out to be an inspiration to many, and certainly to her 5 siblings. All 5 of her younger sisters and brother, through seeing how hard Sarah had to work to do anything, just to climb a flight of stairs. It was a monumental task, to get dressed. Everything she did, she had to work so hard at that my wife Vita and I talk oftenly that our children basically intuitively picked up that they needed to work hard and develop all that God had given them with whatever abilities they had been given. And I think as a result, all 5 have ended up with successful careers in medicine, law, architecture, administration, and high-level finance. And as I look at my children here, I can tell you that we're all very proud of Sarah, and I want you to know that I'm all very proud of each of you. And so last but not least, I want to look at my wife, Vita, and I want to thank you for your dedication and loyalty to our family values, and frankly, Vita, for being the best partner that anyone could ever ask for. Well, I'm going to give them a round of applause. I'd like to thank the board again for this tremendous honor. I'll do my very best, guys, to live up to this for the rest of my life, which, by the way, I do hope is a long time, despite some of my earlier comments. But here's to continuing Mercyhealth's legacy of service and exceptional care. Here's to more fulfilling work together as a community to improve the health of those that we serve, and a passion for making lives better. And I just want to thank my Mercyhealth family, because I can't tell you how much you all mean to me. I just want you to know that, every single one of you. So thank you for this tremendous honor. Thank you.